What does the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank mean for Bay Area real estate? Well, this is a question I'm sure all of you are getting, and every gray storm cloud has a silver lining, and this one is no exception. Here's what we're saying to our clients to keep them engaged and in the game. The topic dominating the news locally and across the country is the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. More importantly, people locally are asking the question, what does the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank mean for Silicon Valley real estate? I'm Brett Jennings with Real Estate Experts, and we're going to talk about that and more in our spring market update and forecast. But before we do, I want to acknowledge you for taking the time to watch this update, because the current change in the market works in favor of the educated buyer and seller. But to understand the implications of the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, we need to take a step back and a little history lesson about Silicon Valley real estate. What you're looking at here is the last 40 years of Bay Area real estate. Appreciation, surges, and declines going back all the way to 1984. One thing for sure that we can say about our Bay Area real estate market is that we've gone through some major crises over the years, and our market is incredibly resilient. Going back to our first correction in 1991 was a recession where rates jumped to 8.5% to 9.5%. At that time, we saw prices correct about 11%. The next major crash we had was the dot-com crash between 1999 and 2001. At that time, the NASDAQ stock market dropped as much as 65%. Just to give you a little idea of some contrast, our recent stock market decline, our market dropped only 35%. Our next major event was the Great Recession and housing crash of 2008, where Bay Area home prices dropped 27%. And then most recently in 2008, we had a correction when the Federal Reserve started increasing interest rates and pulling money out of circulation, at which time the Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, all of those stocks dropped dramatically and prices in the Bay Area corrected about 8%. So two things we can conclude from this. One is our market is incredibly resilient. And the second is that our average correction outside of the Great Recession is around 10%. So where are we today? Well, we saw that prices peaked about 1 year ago. It was actually March 18th when prices peaked in Santa Clara County at $964 a square foot. And prices have come down 10.7%. Now, prices bottomed in January. If you've been watching our market updates, one of the things we mentioned at the turn of the year, at the beginning of the year, was if you've been waiting for prices to come down and rates to pull back, this may very well be the market you've been waiting for. And what we can say is the market did in fact bottom at that time. And right now, prices are on their way back up. Prices have come down close to 11% and are already back up in some areas between 5 and 6%. But one of the things that is a looming headwind is inflation, because inflation has been stubborn. In fact, in spite of the Federal Reserve's dramatic increases in interest rates so far, key inflation indicators show that inflation has not decreased as much as anticipated, causing the Fed to want to stay their course until inflation subsides. Until what the news we've heard last week about the major run on Silicon Valley Bank. Now, the Federal Reserve theoretically caused the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank by raising interest rates. And so for that reason, this is a headline from the Wall Street Journal that's saying the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank calls the Federal Reserve interest rate path into question. The Fed is now questioning their strategy, and they may very well be pushing the pause button on further interest rate increases. Now, a pause in mortgage rate increases will give more buyers the confidence to purchase this spring, adding to the positive market recovery that we're already seeing in Bay Area real estate. So, what does all this mean and where is the market headed? Here is our forecast. For the spring, rates will decrease as the Fed eases up on their policy. Demand will increase because seasonally, the springtime is when we see all of the buyers come out. Now, if you are a buyer, it's not all bad news because supply will also increase because springtime is the time of year when most sellers put their properties on the market. And in addition, because interest rates will either be put on pause or we might see rates decrease slightly, this will likely give an additional uplift to the market, giving us another 3 to 5% rise in price from where prices are today. So the question is this the right time to buy? Well, what we can say is Bay Area real estate, looking at that long-term chart, has gone on sale for 4 times in the last 40 years. And this is the 5th time. So if you're thinking of buying, now is in fact a great time to get into the market. We have more inventory coming to market. We're seeing a pause in interest rates, and this very well could be the window that you've been waiting for. If you're a seller, although we haven't quite recovered to the previous highs of last year, one thing to consider is the market you're selling into is also the market you're buying into. So although you will be selling a home for potentially less than the top of the market, you will be buying a home also at less than the top of the market. And the advantage there is that your property taxes will be lower for the duration of time that you purchase and own that property. So whether you're thinking of buying or selling, we're here to help. If you've been in contact with a real estate expert, get back with the person who shared this video with you. And until we talk again, this is Brett Jennings saying we'll be right here ready to help you create a better life through real estate.